number. Six. If you get 6, you get the fucking body. Be live.
So you know this about you getting your willy stuck in car hose pipe. What happened, Rick? Tell us about that story.
Oh yeah, mate. I jimmied it a little bit. Fucking come out.
And good evening, and welcome to episode 23 of Endless Banter. We are being joined by somebody special. And someone's echoing already. Is it Paul?
It's not me. It was, but it's not anymore.
So we've had we're going to say we've had a few weeks off, but we haven't. We've obviously been doing other things, but we're back on YouTube, and we've been joined by a special guest. We've been joined by the Phantom of the Opera. Oh, boys. Rick, how are you doing? Paul, how are you doing?
I'm right, mate. I'm knackered. Be busy. Be busy. I mean, I've hardly been online the past couple of weeks, really, to be honest. I know you shaved your beard off.
I thought you might have noticed.
I was just having trouble working out whether I'm talking to a football or Tom.
Rick, perfectly honest, he looks much sharper without the beard on.
I've already said it. If there's a way to sort of get rid of the chin, you would, but no, I've already said Tom looks a lot better. He looks like Keith from The Office.
I will be going back. I'm going to Google that. I don't know who that is.
Well, just Google yourself. You'll be fine.
Keith from The Office.
You actually do look like Keith from The Office, Tom, I'm telling you. And I haven't watched The Office.
Oh, my God!
I haven't watched The Office for about a 10 stretch, so...
Oh, my God, I'm definitely growing it back. Doesn't he have something with eggs or something like that? Isn't that his joke, an orange or something?
No, eczema. That's his joke. It's like, what's your skills? He said accounting, and Ricky's like, well, that's your job, isn't it? And then he said, so what? I can't remember what he said, but it was eczema.
So, Paul, how's your week been? What have you had for tea? What are you drinking? And I know you're stressed about the new phone.
I had some Jaffa cakes for tea.
Oh,
healthy as fuck like that. I had a German doner kebab at lunchtime, and to be fair, I wasn't hungry, so when I got in, I'm drinking a cup of tea, which I don't have very often. I normally drink coffee, and I've got a Diet Coke. I've got an AO Pro, and I've got some Vampire Vape.
Have we got an update on the Discovery, and has the Tesla been purchased?
Land Rover, a pack of bastards, mate. It's like proper. I had I put in a formal rejection 3 weeks ago today. So last Wednesday I had, which was the 10 working days from when I put the formal rejection, they says they couldn't refund the car because it was not considered faulty enough.
and full of Biscoffs.
It was. You know what? I've said all the way through. People have said, "Oh, fucking Land Rover, the car's been shipped." Actually, genuinely, I've had 2 warranty issues on the car. Everything else was dealership related, where they're just fucking morons. So I sort of got why Land Rover says they didn't feel the car was faulty enough to warrant a refund. So then I had a meeting with head of business at Lancaster, who basically says I can still put a claim in for a refund to our board of directors. But they'll probably say no. But I am in a position to get you into a new car. So I says, you know what? Let's go for the new car. Hopefully it's reliable, and I'll have the new car. Then it transpires. This car's just going to be new to me. They're going to basically take a car off someone who's also having problems and swap them around, I reckon. And I was a bit like, mate, that can't work because I've already had 13. I've had the car. I think I've had the car in my possession for 7 months of the 13 months. You've blatantly just sat me down in a meeting and said there's inherent problems on the 2017 model. Is it like the launch model? Because when I had that car, it had literally just been launched. So you need to get me into a 2018 model. And then it says, what we'll do is we'll do you a special offer on a brand new car. And I was like, am I missing something here? I bought a brand new fucking car. And basically, they've done a package which meant they were just literally fingering me and taking the piss in the showroom. And I was trying to say to them in the meeting, with respect, we put nearly £19,000 deposit down on the car. And the package that you've just give us starts the finance all over again, because we actually financed it through the galvanising business through Lombard. So Land Rover were paid lock stock for the car, but we put a £18,600 deposit on the vehicle. The repayments were about £1,000 a month, give or take. And we'd already put another deposit of £1,000 to secure the car when I first ordered it. So what they're saying is they will do a deal on a brand new car, which means we start the finance all over again for just over £1,000 a month on a brand new vehicle. And I was like, so we've lost 19 grand on the car in 13 months. And we're going to be paying another 12 months on top of £1,000 a month payments, which makes it best part of 32 grand. How are you doing me how are you sort of looking after me here when you've mugged me off for 13 months?
What was the final price of the car?
My car, brand new, was £74,000. And then my car was actually an ex-demo, so it had done 600 miles registered to Land Rover. But I had the car as a demonstrator myself, so I put 200 miles on the car. And then when I took the car back and we agreed I was having it, they actually parked the car up. So it had done 30 days service when I had that car. They had to park it up for 60 days because they legally can't sell the car for 90 days for tax reasons. So in essence, I bought a brand new car for £62,500.
It's a fucking. I don't know. I mean, as soon as you drive it off the forecourt, you've lost the VAT on it anyway.
Yeah, well, obviously that was like we can't claim the VAT back through the business because it's not a part of the business. It's actually a personal car for me, so the VAT was non-reclaimable anyway.
Can't you go down the not fit for purpose route?
Well, I've basically said originally, me and my MD go over there, and I says to him, because my MD also drives a Discovery. Obviously, Tasha's got a Range Rover Evoque, and my MD's wife's got a Range Rover Vogue. Tasha wants a Velar, and his wife's Range Rover is up for renewal as well. So I said to Tim, my MD, look, they're basically saying that they will give us a brand new car, and they will take every penny of the margin off the car and do a deal that way. So we end up with more sort of equity in the vehicle than what's currently in my vehicle. So in essence, although they're not necessarily giving me something here and there, the car will be worth more in 3 years' time because one, it's a year newer, two, it hasn't got one previous owner's Land Rover, etc., etc. I said, and then also, if you're ready to replace your car, I'll see can we get the same deal for another car for you, which will save us about £13,000 on the price of the car. And then if Michelle wants to change her Range Rover, we'll see if we can get the same deal because they're not losing anything on these cars. They're just not necessarily making anything on them. So we got into the meeting about, originally they'd agreed to swap my car. I'm thinking for a brand new car. So I'm saying to my MD, there's 34 grand outstanding on Lombard's finance. We'll transfer that finance deal back to Land Rover at £34,000 and I'll get a brand new car. Everyone's happy. When I got into the meeting with them, it turns out they're not going to give me this brand new car. They're going to find something of the, they said to me, we're going to find like for like. And I says, why the fuck would I want like for like when this one's been fucking shit, you mad geezer? I want a fucking new car. And basically, they put a package together, which in essence, when they're bullshitting you and baffling you with science, it seemed half reasonable. Until I got home and I was like, well, hang on. We've lost £19,000 in depreciation on that vehicle. And I genuinely haven't used the vehicle enough to warrant the £19,000 depreciation. And this package that they're putting together doesn't cost them 1 pence. It only just doesn't make them anything. So I'm still no further forward. I'm actually in exactly the position I was this time last year when we bought the brand new car. And I feel that they should give me some compensation, more so than just not lose any money. And then the day after that, I had the Tesla on test drive, which was fucking sick, man. I swear, I was like, I need a Tesla. I genuinely need a Tesla in my life. The thing is just fucking mental, crazy mental. I had the Tesla for 24 hours. And then I emailed Land Rover on Friday morning and says, I've had in fact, he emailed me to say, hi, Paul, just wondered if you're interested in this deal. And I replied back saying, I've had 3 days to think about it. And actually, I think you're a complete and utter piss taker. And this deal does not give, it doesn't do me anything at all.
So if you want to give me a new car.
No, basically says, I want the new car because they'd found me a car and said, right, you can have this brand new car. It's got the upgraded 22-inch wheels on it, blah, 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 blah. It's got black leather instead of cream leather, which I said I'd prefer if it was a choice on a brand new car. I says, I want that brand new car and I want to pay the outstanding £34,000. Or I want you to swap my car for an X-Demo 2018 model with less than 600 miles on. So I'm back to where I was this time last year. And I'll continue to pay the £34,000. That's what I want. I feel like you've not contributed anything to this situation whatsoever. You've actually tried to wrap up a package that blinds me in science. And if I need to take my car to my mate who does vinyl, I'll get it vinyled up and park it where the Range Rover was parked, and that's where we are. So I've not had a reply from for 2 days. Hopefully this time next week I'll be able to let you know what their outcome is.
Is that Range Rover still parked there?
No, the Range Rover, they've sorted that geezer out. So I'm feeling like I might need to get some vinyl put on my car and I'll just park the cunt up there.
I got some right media attention, did that fucking Range.
Well, it went into the local papers round there. I'll just say to him, do you not know who I am?
And he went, no. How did that make you feel?
Well, I tagged them in a picture of that Range Rover. I tagged actually that dealership. And when I went in for the meeting, he said to me, we have noticed you've tagged us in this dealership and called us a pack of cunts. Is there any chance that you could remove that post for me? And I said, once I get my new car, I'll remove the post gladly and I'll give you a 5-star review. Until then, you can fuck off.
Fucking hell.
There's the Land Rovers, and that says, though, to be fair, mine's been perfectly fine. And I did say to him, I'm concerned that you swap my car out for another second-hand car now, and my car probably won't ever break down again now. It's got to have had its 14 months worth of shit, and I'm going to end up inheriting another problem car that's just going to drive me fucking mad. So the other option is that I just keep mine and then push for some compensation. Like, even if they give me half of the first year's depreciation back or something, I don't know. I'll just wait and see what they want to do, and I'll leave.
Let's get on to the Tesla though. Tell us a bit about the Tesla.
Tesla was fucking the next level mad. Tasha says to me, "Take me right." Tasha's mum got rushed into hospital last Thursday morning, and I'd got a meeting at work on Thursday morning. She had to go down the shop with the kids and open up because obviously a vet normally opens up the shop and whatever. So I picked the car up about 11, half 11, I think. But I'd already messaged them and says, my mother-in-law's been took into hospital. I need to do this changeover as quickly as I can so I can get off. So I said, I'll be there about half 11. I pulled into Tesla and he was like, right, I just need to run through some things with the car. And I said, mate, I just need to know how to switch the ludicrous mode on. That's all I need to know. And he was like, pardon? I said, I just need to know how to switch the ludicrous mode on. Then I'm out of there. And he literally sat me in the car and he says, you go to there, press on that, and then you press ludicrous. And I was like, mint, cheers, see you later. And I fucked off in his car about fucking 90 miles an hour off the forecourt. Without a doubt, it would, yeah, I'd have one in a heartbeat. The reality is that to sort of drop £148,000 on a car when we're still in this wrangle over the Range Rover that's just 14 months old is a bit of a piss take from my point of view. The benefit for me personally is the benefit in kind on the Tesla is much cheaper than the Range Rover. That said, when I think I had the Tesla for 24 hours. With that, I mean, I cannot express how fast this car is. It's stomach churning. Every single person that come in the car, when you accelerate off at full speed, they all make this noise. Ooh! I'm joking. I swear to, apart from Tasha, who went, fucking slow down, you prick! But like literally, even like grown men who are like going, oh yeah, come on, let's see what this is all about then, mate. You accelerate and all of them go, oh, fuck. It's literally like, It's like the same propulsion you get on them roller coasters where they go from 0 to fucking off. Crazy fast. Driving it normal and civilized, absolutely spot on. The technology in that car is second to none. It's unrivaled by anyone. Downside was I feel like because I drive it like a bit of a prick, certainly in the early days, the range on the battery was performing nothing like what the figures they say. Obviously, I had this thing for 24 hours, so I drove it like I'd fucking stole the cunt, to be honest. And I'm guessing that you get that out of your system fairly early on because its party piece is going from 0 to 90 mile an hour in fucking 4.5 seconds. It's just like ridiculous fucking, and the torque and the fucking feeling on your chest and your stomach. Literally, like, you know, like you get these knobheads who drive their Corsas sat back like a dickhead. Like, I'm not joking, right? If you had your stance of your seat in that car like that and nailed it, you would literally lose grip of the steering wheel. It's like, it's ridiculously fucking powerful. So I actually had mine. I was driving like a new fucking driver. I had my seat up, fucking nose like that on the screen, because when you accelerate, the whole lot of you just goes backwards. It's fucking mental. I felt a little bit travel sick in it when I was driving it hard and sort of accelerating hard. And that, I guess that's just down to the pure G-force it puts on your fucking head. But when I got out of it, I did feel groggy, like I'd been on a bus for a couple of hours. That's the only two downsides. One, I think it'd take my body a while to acclimatise because I suffer from the craziest, stupidest motion sickness in the world. And then the other thing was the range issue, where I was thinking, well, actually, if I fill more disco up, even though it costs 110 quid or whatever it is to fill up, I know I can do 500 mile in it. In that one there, the most I'd get out of it on even driving it sensible was 330. So I'm not normally doing 330 mile trips in a day, but there is times when I do it. And then I know if I drove it hard within that 300 mile, I'm probably down to not much over 200 mile on a range. So that says absolutely, it was nice. When I got back into the Discovery, even now, I'm a week on now, and I feel like both of the turbos are broke on the Discovery. There's no torque, there's no power. It's just like ridiculously slow. And yet my car's quite lively for a 2-ton motor. And the other thing is, as genuinely, I prefer to drive the Discovery. I prefer the higher up position. I like the size of it. It's got all the toys in there. And although the Tesla's loaded with toys, it's just a completely different car. So benefit in kind, definitely I'd have the Tesla over the Discovery. If the benefit in kind was exactly the same as the Tesla, I'd keep the Discovery.
I'd be pretty sure that novelty would wear off pretty quickly on the Tesla.
To be honest, Rick, I thought to myself, I'll get back in mine. And obviously, the initial thing you notice is the disco literally, honestly felt like both turbos are switched off because the Tesla is just ridiculously quick. And with the best will in the world, every time I pulled up at a set of traffic lights, because it's quite unassuming as a potentially equivalent of a 750 brake horsepower car, with the most ridiculous torque that you can't even put into words. And the way that, like, you can hammer that car off the lights, literally full speed, and within 2.6 seconds, you're at 60 mile an hour, whether you've got one person in the car or 7 people in the car. Within 4 seconds, you're at 90 mile an hour. And not one single tyre squeal where the computer works that fantastically well. You get absolute full launch control off the lights. So obviously, every single time you pull up at a set of traffic lights and some knobhead pulls up in an M3 or a C63 AMG, they know what you've got. But I was just looking there like a fat, bald, middle-aged man, pretending not to have noticed them. And the second that the lights are gone, I'm fucking missing, I am. But then I'll get to about 70, 80 mile an hour, and I was having to slow down because I was doing the whoa myself. You know what I mean? It was knocking me sick as well. And then my MD phoned me. I picked it up on Thursday morning. I had the rest of the day off Thursday. He phoned me about 4 o'clock on Thursday afternoon and says, "How are you getting on with that bloody flash computer that you're driving around in?" And I said, "Actually, it's really nice." And he said, "They've started running a book in the office about whether I'd get done for speeding or not while I had the car on test drive." And I thought they were joking until I got into work Friday morning, and they genuinely were running a book in the office about whether I'd get 3 points, 6 points, or a ban. And I was like, you can't be fucking doing that, you bunch of mistrusting fuckers. But the autopilot on the Tesla's, it's a bit hairy at first, where literally it will turn, drive, slow down, speed up the car on its own. But once you get used to that, I'd imagine that'd be quite a good feature because it'd allow me to use my phone a lot more while driving. The space wise in the car was perfect for me, Tash, and the 4 girls. It drove comfortable. Obviously, it's nice and quiet. It's got Bang & Olufsen stereo, so the stereo's top quality. The touchscreen is flawlessly perfect. It's fantastic. And then I had a quick drive over to Hopwood Services, which is about 15 minutes from my house, just to try out the supercharging, really. Me and Disco Dave flew over. And in fact, that was the night when I went live after I'd spoke to you when we was at the services, Tom.
Yeah.
All round, it's a fantastic car. However, I'm not sure it's a £150,000 car. I would genuinely rather have a Lamborghini parked on the drive or something quite pretentious, I think, for that sort of money. Or something that sounds like a V10 Lamborghini. The thing with that is it's so sickeningly quick and it's quiet. It's like a fucking rapid, fast milk float. It's weird. The weirdest thing in the world. And because there's no gear change as well, you obviously don't even get the motion in between the gear change. It's weird. It blew my head. It's really strange. I can't even explain it. And then you've got the regenerative braking. So the minute you de-accelerate, it starts applying the brake. So once I got used to driving around town, you literally don't have to use the foot brake at all. And then, like my Disco obviously being automatic, if I'm at the traffic lights and I just let my foot off the brake and I'm in drive, it'll creep forward. There's actually an electronic setting on that to make it creep if you're used to driving a standard automatic, or you can switch it off completely. So the second you've come to a standstill, it just holds the car and then it won't start moving again until you start accelerating. Clever stuff, but I'm just not sure it's a 150 grand car, to be honest.
Fucking madness. Sounds scary. If I'm honest, it sounds like fucking death.
But Disco was saying to me, "Oh, you need Tom down here, man. I want him to be laughing when you accelerate and see how quickly he stops fucking laughing."
That'd be like an anchor on your left hand side. You just go around in circles.
And the other thing is as well, for how fast that car is and how quick it accelerates, it definitely 100% should have ceramic brakes on it. Because I know for a fact, look, when you first get that car and you're pulling off, every single traffic light's pulling off 0 to 60 in fucking less than 3 seconds, it wouldn't take long to fry your brakes. So I think when you're spending that much money on a car that's got that amounts of power, it should definitely come with ceramic brakes set on there so you can actually hammer it.
You've got like soundproofing in the fucking tyres, because I've seen a video where somebody opens up one of the tyres and the tyres has got like fucking soundproofing in it to make it quiet.
But it's also to do with the wall thicknesses because of the torque that's applied through the tyres when you accelerate at them sort of speeds. So they've got run flats on them anyway, which come with a standard thicker wall. And then I'm sure it's Pirelli that's on the car. They developed that tyre for that car because there's no other car that will apply that much torque to it. I mean, it's literally the quickest car in the world, 0 to 60 miles an hour.
Yeah, I'm gonna say they do run flat. It's literally just rubber in it inside. That's all it is.
It's mad. It was nice, whatever, but I don't miss it like I expected to miss it. Apart from that fucking initial acceleration, which is that's its party piece, really. It's so.
Oh, you'd soon get used to that, though, wouldn't you?
You know what? I don't even know whether you could get used to that speed, Tom. It's like I've had some fast cars in my time, and that thing it's ridiculous. And even rolling at 40 mile an hour and you nail it, you're at 90 mile an hour by the time you can realise that you've got to hold on to this fucking thing and look at the speedo. You've gone from 40 to 90 in the click of a finger. It's fucking mental. And like anyone that's been in a fast car, you've not been in a fast car till you've been in one of these. Do you know what I mean? It's like just next level fast. It's next level fast, but it's all.
You just want more, though. You're just like you're saying with like the Discovery, you just wanting more all the time with it. You know what I mean? I think over a time period, you would get used to it, and then you'd go sort of back to what we would call a regular. And it's like, yeah, this is no compared to this.
I think that's the problem. I mean, I know James was driving a P100D, which is the same car that I had. He was driving an Aventador. He's now in the Porsche RS GT3, and he said to me they're not as quick as that car to 60 mile an hour. And it's not only the speed, and obviously the computer gives you 100% traction off the line as well. There's no wheel spinning. There's not a single screech from the tyre. I can't even explain it. But then because you go from Like even in a Lambo, you're going to be into second gear by the time you're hitting 60 mile an hour. In that thing, because you go from nothing to 60 with no fucking gear change, I can't explain. It's just mad. And obviously, it'll go from 0 to 155 without the gear change as well, because there's no gearbox on it. It's literally just the motors spin from nothing to 27,000 RPM or whatever the motors spin up to. So it's a crazy, crazy thing.
That is fucking mad. Well, we better get on to some sort of vape talk, can't we? Well, actually, first of all, I want to mention. I just want to talk about this. Obviously, people that are obviously regular viewers on YouTube obviously have seen that we've been doing the Facebook feeds for the last 2 weeks, and just sort of running over the fact. I just want to thank everybody again for all your support from the last couple of weeks. I just want to mention that because obviously we did switch platforms. And, you know, we did get a lot more viewers over on Facebook, obviously due to the auctions and stuff like that. But once again, me personally and Paul, and I'm sure Rick has seen everything that's been going on. But we want to thank you ever so much for your support. It's been absolutely mental. Thank you again.
No, absolutely. I can only mirror that, Tom.
You're welcome.
Anytime. Right, let's go into these funny things then. So before the show, I had Rick Google something. Paul saw this a couple of weeks back. I'm going to Google it so I can show you guys. But if you want to have a look up it and see.
Dick pics.
Nick pics. Would you like to explain what they are, Rick?
I don't even know myself.
Go on. Would you like to explain what they are?
Well, I've only seen a picture. I haven't actually seen.
Well, there's a picture of them.
Are they literally toothpicks that contain nicotine?
Yes, they are saturated in nicotine.
Infused with 3 milligrams of nicotine.
Yeah. And you would suck them or chew them or whatever you do with a toothpick. I don't use a toothpick. I'm not a fucking hillbilly.
Hang on a minute. Right, okay. Nick picks should be used in the same manner that a regular toothpick would be used. So you're just picking out food out your teeth.
No, you literally like have it in your mouth and you suck it. Like that's a lot of people in America. I don't know whether it's not really done over here, but the toothpick goes in your mouth and you just chew on a toothpick like you would usually a normal one.
I want to know who the fuck wants 3 milligram cheese and pineapple at parties.
When I saw it, and this is the reason I'm bringing it up, is because when I saw it on Instagram and it was posted by a fair few people that are doing vape stuff. So like your models and stuff like that. Well, we'll loosely use the word model on Instagram. And they was obviously promoting these things. And to me personally, the question I'm going to ask you both is, where does this belong? Because it doesn't belong in tobacco, doesn't belong in vaping. Where the fuck does it belong?
In the fucking bin. I think Rick's froze, or he's just.
No. I'm just. No, not in the bin. No. You could use it as a NRT, nicotine replacement therapy, right? So it belongs with patches that don't really work, Champex that sends you insane.
Patch onto your arm with a toothpick.
Well, see, my main use of a toothpick would be to pick food out of my teeth, not to suck on it. If I want this suck on something, I'd invite Tom up for a weekend.
That's the thing for me is when I saw it and I was like, it's not a vaping product, but there's people promoting this. They can't be promoting it as a vaping product, but what category would you put it in? Once again, it shouldn't be sold in vape shops because what the fuck's it got to do with vaping? It's been promoted as I don't even understand it. I personally don't understand it. Maybe in Texas or wherever cowboys are, they're like chewing on a fucking stick or something like that. Maybe that's what
I'm guessing them fucking inbreds from the deep south like chewing on sticks. I mean, that's my first thought was, are they targeting a specific geographic of people? If someone come into my shop with a fucking toothpick hanging out the head and a ball of fucking tobacco on this side asking me what the best fucking liquid I've got is, I'd be like, mate, you're in the wrong shop, you mad geezer, what are you doing?
Paul. Just thought of something. Right, over here, people don't normally use toothpicks; they use matchsticks. So you could have endless matchsticks infused with 75 milligram nicotine. Go for it.
Yeah, just light the match and watch your fucking face go up.
I might even do CBD sticks.
You could. I think it's a brilliant idea. I think they should sell them everywhere.
I just don't see where it can fit. And there's somebody in chat saying it can go where ICOS is going in fucking bin, but where does it come under it?
The reality is it fits in exactly the same place as gum patches and spray. It's a nicotine cessation on the basis that it's got nicotine in it. But that's like fucking literally dipping your cock in some nicotine and saying, look, babe, if you get your lips around this, it will help you give up smoking.
Again, not a bad idea, Paul. Not a bad idea. I think that'd be quite good. Yeah. There you go. NRT, legal prostitution. But if you do want some Nick pics, apparently Tom's selling them out the back of the endless tent.
No, just for me, as I say, once I saw them, I was like, well, okay, I appreciate what they are. You know what I mean? I don't fucking like chewing toothpicks or whatever.
How can you appreciate a stick that's been floating?
That's what I mean. This is what I'm trying to say. Obviously, it's gone to a certain demographic. It's not fucking aimed at everybody, is it? But if you're going to stock it in a vape shop, it doesn't fit. If you're going to stock it in a tobacconist, it's not going to fit. Where the fuck would this category go? It's obviously a niche category, but where the fuck why would you even think of it? I just can't even come across.
If you're going to stock them in your vape shop, then you're being counterproductive because vaping, obviously you guys know this, over any other traditional NRT is 3 to 5 times more successful in giving up smoking. So if you stock it in your vape shop, it's going to be counterproductive. You're going to be selling a product which, I don't know. They're going to buy that, not going to work. They're going to fuck these guys, the bunch of cowboys, and go down Tesco's and buy their lovely dinner lady juice. They disappeared.
Why are they still in Tesco?
Nah, I still wouldn't.
Yeah.
I haven't seen anything from them recently.
I don't go to Asda, to be honest, because we've taken up to click and collecting our shopping. So I haven't even been in the Asda store for a long time. So I don't know what they're doing. What I will say is that, I mean, I think not last week, Tom, a few weeks ago, the last time we done the show on YouTube, I was using the VIP device, weren't I? No, sorry, the blue device. And I've got to say, it's fucking quality.
What, the Von L?
Nah, the one it's basically like an AO.
Oh, yeah.
And it just seems to work better than the AO. I don't know why. It's I don't know.
Just a slightly different coil. But
exactly,
again,
it will take the same coil. I think it possibly is made by Joytech.
I mean, the problem, right? The Von L, pod system. The problem I got with it is they stamped a blue logo on it, right? Now, here's the big issue. They've been in a lot of vape shops recently. They've been trying to sell their goods, right? Especially the AIO that you've got, but as well as the pod system. All these shops, they're offering 500 quid's worth of free stock, right?
Yep.
So you take on this 500 quid's worth of free stock. They then manage to get a foothold in the marketplace of where they want to be.
Which is why I wouldn't stock it, Rick.
My main point is, as soon as you got that 500 quid's worth of stock, they started banging those kits out at £1 again.
No, well, my issue is that, I mean, he basically told me they've been given a £35 million budget to get into 1,800 shops within 7 months. That's a big old budget, that is. That's my budget for the next 3 years. And but I mean, that's a serious amount of money. So each rep can give up to 2,000 shops the kit, and then their aim is to have reorders from 1,700 shops continually within 6 or 8 month period of time. And what I said to him was, I haven't got an issue with Blue actually as a manufacturer, because they are dedicated to vaping. That's the only way I can, as opposed to ICOS that don't fit in a vape shop. I haven't got an issue with ICOS as long as it's not in a vape shop, if I'm being honest. It's still got its place, in my opinion. I just don't like the way that they brand it and they market it. But I said to the Blue rep, my issue is that you ultimately are going for although you're targeting vape shops now and you're giving this £500 deal, I'm in a fortunate position where I don't need to take £500 worth of stock to help cover this month's rent. So I'm not going to, for the same reason. We're not in a position where I don't need the £1,000 a month off ICOS to put a screen in my shop window and sell ICOS products. But we will do the footwork for you guys to get your product on the market, for Mavis to then pick up the replacement liquids and the new kit from Asda.
Yeah.
And that's not what I want to do. I want to promote my own shop. And actually, the margin on their hardware is shit. So
Yeah.
they give you this £500 bundle. Then Mavis starts coming back in saying, well, I need that coil. And I go, yeah, I don't stock them though, because I don't make no money on them.
Was it 6-7 quid for 3 pods, which works out at about 3.6, 5 I can't remember. 1.8 times 3. What the fuck's 1.8 times 3?
5.4 mil.
There you go, 5.4. So 5.4 mil of juice for fucking £6 something.
But I still would vape one of them personally, Rick, as someone who used to smoke 60 cigarettes a day. The trouble is, I mean, I said to him, if you were to launch a pod that was empty, that I could sell an empty pod to my customers to, I'd probably consider stocking it.
Well, lucky I'm on the show. Lucky I'm on the show, mate. I have a pod on me. It is pink. It's a color changer, so it goes yellow when it heats up, when you got your hand on it. Warm. But it is the Teros by Joytech. And do you know what? It is fucking decent. I hate saying it about pod systems, but this one, we've had a few pods in the shop, but this one has trumped them all.
Every pod system I've used up until now, and I'm waiting for the Joytech ones to come in, because actually I think Joytech have done some great mouth-to-lung devices. They seem to understand what's required from a mouth-to-lung device from me. It's like, even the Von Earl that Blue Cell, it vapes extremely well. It just does not ramp up fast enough for me. It needs a 0.0, it needs a 0.8 or a 1 ohm coil instead of a 1.2, 1.4 or whatever it is. I'm finding I have to double drag it and I have to fuck about with it. Whereas on their AO system, it actually, I used this terminology before, it ramps up like a cigarette. I can take a drag on it, one drag, press the button, take a drag, and I can exhale and I feel like I've had a drag. There's no other pod system, I tell a lie, apart from the Aspire Sprite. With that 1.2 ohm coil in, that system is fucking quality. We were
looking at the Sprite very recently. In fact, today I got a message. I'm on holiday, so I couldn't give a fuck. I didn't bother replying. But this Teros, these just arrived today, and fucking fantastic. Battery life on it, brilliant. The vape on it is brilliant. Refillable cartridges. I've had this in a week now. This one cartridge. No sign of a dry hit or a burn anywhere. On 20 milligram nic salts in it, and it's. I mean, the problem we got is obviously the 20 milligram limit.
Yeah.
I mean, pod systems, like you say, don't deliver as much as an AIO or anything like that. So at a 20 milligram limit, it makes it quite hard. Especially in nic salts. If you went up to like a 40, who knows? But I think that's why this country sort of almost fails on pod systems.
That's my opinion as well, Rick.
Whereas America flies, doesn't it?
See, the Aspire Sprite, it comes with a 1.2 BVC coil, and it is the same as a standard BVC coil, which is good.
So they can fit in like the K1, K2s then?
This is my point, is actually, it comes with a 1.8 standard BVC, and it comes with a 1.2, which they claim is their nic salt coil. Now, I was using the 1.2 with 12 milligram. I've been using Vampire Vape, Bloodsucker, or Heisenberg. Absolutely perfect ramp up. It's perfect. It's got airflow control underneath the base of the coil, like the Breeze 2. It vapes so much better than the Breeze 2. The downside is the battery seems to be shit on it for me, because I'm chonging this thing non-stop all day. And I don't know whether it's the size that it should easily be a 13 to 1500 mAh. I think it's only a 650 or something, if my memory serves me right.
On the Spa one, really?
Well, I don't. You know what? If anyone in chat can have a look and see what the mAh is, because I can't be asked to open up another tab and check. but I've not had it last me anything like a full day, and I've charged it fully overnight, and then I'm running out at sort of 2-3 o'clock in the afternoon. Where that the blue one that I had, the AO, the manufacturer blue AO, and the Joytech AO, the blue one was starting to fail me probably between 8 and 9 o'clock on the night, so it still had a good 12 hours of hammering, which is not bad. And I've never ever had the AO run flat on me in the day when I've charged it fully the night before. But that's 2,200 mile, which is probably where I am. But I think if someone checks the Sprite for me, it's probably 650. Paulie's right. So it's big enough to warrant taking a fucking 18650 needle. So on that basis, I'm surprised it hasn't got like a 30Q in there, 3,000 mark, because it's not a small pod system. It's square. It's as long as an 18650. And I was dead surprised that the battery life was so low.
Yeah, you need the circuitry in there as well, though, haven't you? You got to cram all that bollocks in there. Mind you, saying that the old the Vamos used to do it quite well.
You know what, mate? It's not. You can't change the voltage on it or nothing like that. So it's literally an on-off switch, and then it's got a variable voltage board on it, so it will adjust the watts according to your coil. But it's not like a. There's no display on it or anything like that. So I would rather have that device another fucking 25, 30 mil longer with 2,500 mAh in there.
Well, if we're talking mouse alone, our biggest seller was the T20S until recently, when the Jack Vapor Vims come in. Have you seen those?
Yeah.
Fucking awesome devices. 0.7 turbo mouse alone coil in it. And it is insane. 2,600 mAh, tiny little device. Probably a bit shorter than that.
Yeah,
probably about up to there.
Yeah, it's a 650 mAh, the Sprite.
That's tiny.
Well, we always talk about battery life and stuff like that, and if the device is capable of doing it, it should be a bigger battery because it's just
that's a 650 there.
That's my point, Rick. And I haven't got the Sprite on me, actually, because I give it to someone the other day. In fact, Tasha's got one on her ear. So there's the Sprite. So it's longer than the AO considerably. It's obviously I don't know what the mAh is on the old
the Mi Pod or Mi One or whatever it is. I think that's like 650 as well.
That's 650 mAh, and this is at least as thick as an 18650. I know an 18650 could fit in that.
Yeah. And
the pod system takes it down that far, so then you're left with. I'm going to the wrong fucking camera. So that's the height there where my finger is. But I still feel like I'd rather have had the length of the pod on the bottom again, and had a decent 18, not necessarily an 18650, but something capable of 2,000 plus mAh.
Yeah, 100%. I think people get a lot stumped with sort of the battery sizes as well, because obviously it's not going to last that long, especially if you're using it as like an all-day device.
You know what, Tom? As someone who obviously I don't work in the shop, but I don't know how Rick feels about this. I am very reluctant to sell a device to someone when I know they're not going to get a day's use out of the battery.
Yeah.
Especially when they come in saying, I smoke 40 fags a day, I really want to get off the kit. And that's why we've sold hundreds and hundreds and hundreds of AOs, because I don't believe for 35 quid, you can. I'm not saying you can't anymore, but certainly when we started selling them, there wasn't a device out there for that amount of money that gave such a good mouth-to-lung hit that was easy to fill up, easy to change the coil, and a battery that 100% lasts you all day. Obviously, it's made by Joytech. They use fantastic cells as well, so they're reliable. This is my third device. I had a standard AO for over 12 months, and I've recently had another Pro just because my old one was scratched. It was still working. I just got a new one because I treated myself, because I'm fucking nice to myself like that sometimes. But genuinely, I've never had one break. We've probably, out of hundreds and hundreds and hundreds that we sold in the shop, we've probably had 3 or 4 returns. And even then, I'm sure that they're charging them off a Samsung charger, and the charger don't go in far enough. Because like on the actual, although it's the same fitting as a Samsung, on the lead that comes with it, the leg that sticks out is quite long. So if I use a Samsung charger to charge mine, or a Samsung lead to charge it, I have to put it in, and then I have to wrap the lead around the device to get it to charge, because it pulls back slightly. If I use the Joytech one, it charges every time. And I'm sure probably 80% of our returns have only been people using the wrong charging lead. and just getting to the point where you say, listen, mate, I'll swap it out. I know there's fuck all wrong with it, but have it back. Really, really, really cracking device. And I think we've just dropped the standard, the AO to $24.99 for the box. So again, your 2,200 mAh, exactly the same as that, but without the resin bit on there, and it hasn't got visible airflow control. It's just got the one where you turn it, a bit like the old Mi Pod or the Mi One. Actually, it's the same as the Mi One. So, but again, I don't know how you feel about this, Rick, as far as being sort of retail is that the boom in mouth to lung devices coming out of the retailers in the last 6 months for me has been fantastic.
It's I mean, we went. I mean, obviously we've been only open since April last year, but we went obviously for a massive mouth to lung surge, and then we got to a point where direct to lung sub-ohm was overtaking mouth to lung, and now just recently the mouth to lung surge is back, and we're way outselling mouth to lung stuff than sub-ohm. But we're the same. But we only stock what 2 devices under 1,500 mAh.
Yeah.
And one of them's an S18, and the other one is that one now. Yeah. And we do say to them, like especially on the S18 from Jack, we do say to them that you probably won't get a full day out of this, but it is cheaper than this, and it does have adjustable airflow. Yeah. So it's up to you. We do obviously weigh out the pros and cons, and then we just sit back and let them. Well, we don't sit back. No. We let them pick whilst we go out the back and have a fag.
Mate, you need to get yourself some toothpicks. You can just stay at the counter.
On it. That's actually my product, you cunts.
I honestly think, going back to what Paul said about the surge in mouth to lung devices, I honestly think that's what it needed. The whole industry itself needed a lot more mouth to lung devices for the starters, because there was that massive lull where there might have been 2-3 devices in mouth to lung that's been released.
Do you remember it, Tom? Every week on Vape Talk, we used to say, there's no development on mouth to lung, there's no development on mouth to lung, there's no development. And all of a sudden, it's just gone.
Yeah. No, but I think it's always mouth to lung. It's refreshing because for someone who's used very, very high-end mechanical devices, and I use that 100% as a hobby, if I was going out to a posh do, I ended up with a fucking £500 stabilised wood fucking DNA mod with a bastard Nautilus tank on it. And to be honest, for as good as the Nautilus tank was, if I use a Nautilus tank now, they're not a patch on anything of this modern bottom top air. The coil's very, very close to the mouthpiece. The flavour's much better. The drag's much better. I personally think all of these newer devices smashed the Nautilus out of the water.
Have you tried to save it yet, Paul? Sorry.
Is that that stock coil or
rebuildable?
I don't use rebuildable RTAs, mate.
Oh, but it's fucking
Going back to that though, Rick and Paul, do you think the technology's changed in any way? Because I really don't think it's changed. No. I think it's just spruced it up a bit.
No, but you know what? The technology on that, where the airflow comes in from the top and goes down and round and back through, it's obviously making contact with the bottom inside of the tank to allow it to do that. The fact that to fill it up, I can just unscrew that and take it out with my coil in there and fill it up and drop it back in. Just them small changes for me are the things that this type of device needed. To unscrew a Nautilus and then turn it upside down and fill it up and then put your device upside down and present it to the glass and screw it on. I've done it for all them years because I had no fucking choice but to do that.
Didn't Kangatech come out of that first? It wasn't called the knee box. It took the clock coils, KLOCC coils or CLOCC coils.
What it was one of them. It was Kangatech.
Yeah, they come out of it first, didn't they? The whole.
It was the same sort of device that looked like the Plato, but it had this type of coil system on it where the coil actually made contact with the inside of the bottom of the tank. And the airflow comes in through the top of the coil, down the coil, back out the top of the coil into your mouthpiece. So in theory, it makes it sort of, you don't get that same amount of liquid. I mean, I'll still get liquid coming through into my mouth off this, but normally when I've just done what I've done, where I've took my coil out and put it back in and it'll slightly flood the coil. Once I'm vaping on this, I can honestly say, if it's gargling and I flick it out and clear my mouthpiece, until I fuck about with it again, it'll never ever gargle. Never get liquid in my mouth. Not like them good old-fashioned Kangatech ones where you take a drag and I'll be spitting on the floor like I was chewing fucking tobacco.
On this tank, on the D Pro here, I get liquid in my mouth, but I love it because I think it adds to the flavour.
So, no, but on some liquids, that's true. Like even if I'm dripping and you get a little bit sometimes, it's like when you're using Heisenberg, it's not that getting fucking hot Heisenberg spat down your throat.
Do you think?
I don't know how much influence the likes of Phil and Dimitri, who had obviously done this massive drive with Inakin and their mouth to lung device. But if that's what was needed to get the other manufacturers to say, hang on a minute, this mouth to lung thing, it's not all about blowing clouds. I just feel that I feel like month on month, and certainly for the last 12 months. In fact, if I'm being honest, for the last 5 years, mouth to lungs improved because the coils did get better and the devices did get better. But I just feel like we're always in a much better position to convert someone from cigarette to vaping because the devices are just so much more reliable. They vape better, they're easy to use, they're cleaner to use. And that's why I like pod systems. The reason why I think we as retailers don't push a pod system is because we're already converting the cost of a 10ml bottle for a week in this for me over 10 pods a week. Where actually, if you can sit down with the smoker who's smoking 20 cigarettes a day, the pod system's still far, far, far cheaper to run than cigarettes.
I had a woman in the shop that was spending £20 a day on cigarettes, and I worked that out. I was sat there, I'm like, right, I'll work this out for you. I said that basically, if you obviously get these products, then and it was only a starter kit and whatnot, I could save you $6,000 a year.
That's Rick on my very first business cards and on our very first flyers. We had a grid that started off from 5 cigarettes a day up to 60 cigarettes a day, which is what I smoked. And then there was another piece of paraphernalia underneath that says, this is assuming, obviously at that particular time, there was Ego batteries and there was C4, C5s, and Aspire was just launching the Nautilus and Kangatech had got the Pro tanks and stuff. But I worked on the assumption that a 1100 mAh battery would last you for 10 weeks and then you'd throw it in the bin, you'd buy another battery. At that time, we were selling 1100 mAh batteries for about $16.99, I think. It worked on the assumption that you changed your coil every single Friday. It worked on the assumption that you replaced your clear miser twice in the same period you changed your battery. So even though you could change the coil, we allowed for, in a 12-week period, 2 batteries, 4 clear misers, and a coil, 12 coils, plus the liquid to run it, and you'd still save £6,100.
Well, my point was that she could save £500 a month. She's got 3 kids. She could save herself £500 a month, and she still said, I don't know, and then walked out.
Mate, when I used to work down the shop regular, obviously they'd come in and say, all right, mate, what's your cheapest device? Now, my question is always, how many cigarettes do you smoke? Because then I could try and do a little bit of quick math and say to them, this isn't the cheapest device. However, I think this is the one that would best suit you. And even using that device, based on this, and this, based on what you're smoking, buy that today. You've only got to vape it until Wednesday morning. And if you don't get on with it, throw it in the bin and you're still £7 better off. Then go back to your cigarettes, but at least you've given it a try. Because when I started, I was broke on my arse, and I went and spent £38 on a vape stick kit. And I said to Tasha, I know it's a lot of money and it might not work, but I buy this Saturday. As long as I use it until Wednesday night, that's the same money I would have spent on my cigarettes. And that's what I did. And I've done 11 months on it without touching a single cigarette. So I still do it now. I still try and get into people's heads and say, even if you're only smoking 10 cigarettes a day, so you're spending approximately a £5 a day, I can hook you up with an AO and a bottle of liquid for £25. You've only got to use that for 4 days and you've broke even on your fags. Then even if you only use it part-time and you half use the device and you half smoke, you're saving every single week thereafter. And obviously on week 2, you're not replacing the device. You're only replacing the coil, because I'd always try and advocate to any new user, once a week, stick a new coil in there. Even if it feels like it's vaping okay and it's tasting okay, you'll be surprised that if you change your coil every Friday night, you'll be surprised when you put the new coil in Friday night how fresh the liquid tastes. And actually, You don't, you vape, you're smoking Benson and Hedges at 12 or 13 or 14 quid a packet. We're talking about £2 here a week for a coil. And that will keep your device working properly, tasting properly, vaping properly. Once you get 4 weeks in and you've saved X £100, come and treat yourself to a new device if you want one. But if you don't want one, you don't need to. So I still do use this physical cash saving conversion.
Do you know what? That's a fucking good table, and I think I'm going to mock one up and print them out and put them up in the shop. So I like that idea.
We had it on the back of our business cards as well. So actually on the front of the business card, Shady Vaping, the shop address, email address, and the website. And on the back, there was a cost saving based on smoking 10, 20, 30, 40, 50, 60 fags a day. And then I tried to genuinely over-egg the pudding on what their spend would be in any given 12-month period. So it was allowing for twice as many calls as possible, a new device every 12 weeks, whether you wanted one or whether you didn't, etc., etc., etc. And this is still your savings. Because when we first got our shop, mate, I remember saying to Tash, I feel like we should have a shop to actually show people this stuff and sit them down and show them how it works, spend some time with them, and actually let them have a go on one. So they understand that you actually inhale something and you exhale something that you can physically see. Because 6 years ago, when I was walking around with a vape stick, 7 years ago now, people you were saying, what's in that, mate? Wacky backer. They just didn't know what the fuck it was. So if we can sit them down and convert them, and they can try it and they can see and they can touch, I believe that we can do something with these electronic cigarettes. And Tasha, the first thing Tasha to me was, how the fuck are we going to pay the rent on the shop if it doesn't work? And I said, well, the rent on the shop is actually less than what we're saving a month just on me not smoking. And because I wasn't smoking, although Tasha never ever started vaping right at the very start, she probably cut her cigarette consumption by half because I weren't smoking. Because every time I lit a cigarette up, I'd throw her one. And because I weren't doing that, she smoked one when she wanted one. So she went from 20 a day to 10 to 12 a day. And I weren't smoking none a day. And actually that saving every month was enough confidence for me to say, let's put that into the shop. And then 6 years later, we've got what we've got. It's fucking crazy to think that we achieved that. But even people that come into that shop and going, oh, bloody hell, I've got the school uniforms to buy. Don't smoke all month and you'll have more than enough money for the school uniforms. And try and actually put it into a pound note conversion for them. And it does make a difference. And certainly saying to someone, if you're spending £10 a day, 70 quid a week, spend £35 on a decent mouth-to-lung setup, you've got to vape it for 3.5 days, then you can throw it in the bin and carry on smoking and you're in no work. Because obviously a lot of people say, what if I spend this 35 quid and then I'm still smoking? I've actually wasted £35. Just suffer it for 3.5 days, throw it in the bin and carry on smoking, and you're no worse off. But you've tried, and I'm 99% sure if you've got the will to give up, that device will get you off the cigarettes. Go away and see. And mate, I would say 90% of them people come back in and say, do you know what? I never even finished my box of fags. Because again, from a shop point of view, I don't know how many times you hear it converting someone. I'll just finish his packet of fags, and once this is gone, I'll start using my vape. And actually, the amount of people that come back in and say, do you know what? I never even touched a fag since that day. I've still got 6 in my box at home or whatever. I've kept them in case I need one. I've not touched a cigarette. So it's just trying to, for me, still now, it's still trying to make them realise.
The money side is definitely a visual aid which they can see, whereas the health benefits, they're not going to notice as quickly. Whereas the money side, they can see it in the hands. It's right there.
And that's what we never ever sold it on health. People you say to me, and obviously, again, if you go back 4.5 years when we opened the shop, is it healthier than cigarettes? I used to say to them, all I know is that I'm 3 years cigarette free. For a fat bloke, I feel 100 times better than I ever did. And even if it's killing me at the same rate as cigarettes, I've got more money in the bank and I feel better. So on that basis, I'm still in a better position, even if it's killing me at the same rate as cigarettes was. And I can't say that it's not, because I don't know, because it was too early in the day. At least now we can stand there genuinely and say, look, these have been proven to be 95% safer than cigarettes. So there's still some potential harm there, but it's much, much, much reduced.
I think that harm is that 5% is just like for just in case.
Exactly, just for the benefit of having not 100%. I agree with you on that as well. So we've never sold e-cigs on the basis that they're healthier for you. We literally, and still to this day, because we do so much mouth-to-lung business, still sell on the basis that this will save you a huge amount of money. Now, obviously, when you're on Facebook and you see these people that are using 100 ml of liquid a day in their stacked dirty mod saying, fuck me, they said it'd save me money. Well, we'll save you money if you use a device that's designed to stop you smoking. If you choose to step over into the hobby side of blowing massive clouds, it's no longer the same comparable.
Do you think it's come more the norm with all sort of like the mouth to lung devices and everything that's going on with the industry? I think it's come more the norm of people going, do you know what? Like you said, Paul, somebody said, is it wacky backy? You know what I mean? The people now in the general public and the general eye know that this is vaping and this is what it's actually doing.
You know what, Tom? I can honestly say for months and months and months, when I very first picked up my first electronic cigarette, one, I sold lots and lots and lots and lots of kits just to family and friends because I literally used to bump into anyone that smoked and I'd thrust this e-cigarette at them and say, try this, mate. It's like you're smoking a cigarette. You even get an exhale of something. I didn't even know what it was, me fucking self back then. So and then they'd have a go on it and go, fucking hell, that's mad, that is. Can you get me one? Yeah. And I was making a quid on them. And that was when I said, you know what, we can make something out of this. It was mad how I'd say to Tash, is if that woman over there in that car's using an electronic cigarette, because you start to spot them. And now it's actually absolutely the norm for someone to be vaping right anywhere you see them, just walking through town, sat in the bus stop, walk anywhere and everywhere. People are using electronic cigarettes.
There's people still walking around with blinkers though. You can't deny that. We had there's a Facebook post. I'm a part of our town. You know, every town's got their own Facebook sort of place, and they were talking about the town centre and stuff, and the old shops. And our old shop was Bullock's, which was an old ironmonger, so you could get all your tools and your screws and stuff like that. But because people didn't use it, obviously it shut down. And someone put a post up saying Bullock's got replaced by a vape shop. That's all we need. And I looked at that. I was thrown back a little bit. I thought, hang on a minute. Potentially we're helping people obviously to live a healthy lifestyle, money saving. We wouldn't have record months, weeks, days going on at the moment, which we are. So obviously there is a need, and the normal Riyadh would fucking post a response, but unfortunately I just thought, do you know what, I'll just let him fucking think what he thinks and he can crack on.
The thing for me, Rick, though, is the fact is that the people putting these posts up are these people who will turn around and go, support your local, support your local. There's not a fucking family business behind that vape shop. Do you know what I mean? Go find out about it. Go find out it's a family-run business. Support your fucking local. So if you want to quit smoking, go to your fucking local shop. Don't go into Asda. Stop saying, oh, fruit and veg shop's open, support your local, when there's a fucking family running exactly the same style shop.
But then if I'm playing devil's advocate, how many people see dickheads on the street blowing smoke aliens as a vaping device, as a replacement for cigarettes, where these people who don't really understand it look and go, fucking hell, I couldn't use one and I'd rather smoke me fag than have that in my house.
Yeah, there is that side, but that was back in 2016. They've been replaced by the Mag now. Paul, come on.
Yeah. Smoke alien is just like it just was the device that I seen it the other day. Someone posted up in one of the vape groups, "Oh, I'm looking to stop smoking. Any advice?" Yeah, you need a fucking Mag 220 kit. And I was like, what the fucking hell are you going on about, you mad person? But I do get the stigma behind it. And you know what? I've been and picked my daughter up from school. Me and Tash have walked up there or walked out the school after we've been to a school play. And there's kids coming out of the school with a fucking vape pen. Some of them with a little mouth to lung. Some of the lads fucking on their mags and all that. And it looks fucking horrible. But does it look any more horrible than a school kid walking out in the blaze and smoking a cigarette? And I'm not sure it does. And on that basis, I genuinely, and I said this to Tom before, I don't understand why kids think it's cool to vape. I think it's quite cool, looking back to when I was 13, if I could have been blowing a massive cloud of fucking strawberry muffin while them dickheads were choking on their Benson edges. So I do get that attraction to school. I understand why they think it's cool. That said, me and Tash sat in a restaurant eating dinner in town the other week when she met me at the factory for lunch. And some bird walked up, just walking up the road, And I was like, who the fuck vapes like that? But it's not even a way that you'd walk around and vape a vape unless you're just trying to say, hi, yeah, I'm a cool vapor. And you just know she was like, she exhaled this fucking cloud from a sub-ohm device, and she was looking around to see who else was going, yeah, man, you're cool. And I just thought, you look like a fucking idiot.
Obviously been watching Big Tom and the Vaping Crew's first look videos.
I think me personally, I think there's ignorance from people who have no idea what it is about vaping, and there's also ignorance from vapors. And it's sort of, you know, we've seen videos on Facebook in years before of people going around Asda doing challenges of vaping in fucking places you shouldn't vaping. You know, you create that sort of vibe, and people are just literally going to go, well, they're all fucking dickheads. And they create that stigma for us all, rather than just being like, actually, do you know what? They're doing something that's safer. It's a better alternative. We'll actually look into it. But people are ignorant.
I got a lot of shit. For commenting on someone's post that was vaping in a supermarket.
Did you give him some stick?
It was quite a well known person. I'll tell you. I'll tell you at first. It was funny though. It was funny.
But did you get some stick?
I got a little bit of sick. Yeah, I just ended up. I just ended up leaving the page because I couldn't be done with it.
You see, stuff like that for me really boils my piss, because we're trying our hardest to be not a part of society, but just being the norm. And this is the future sort of thing. And then you get people like that are just ignorant and just fucking downright fucking stupid.
It's Paul's best mate.
Oh, okay. I saw that comment.
Was it Tasha? You know what, mate? I mean, I will walk around Asda and I'll use my mouth to lung device, and I will literally
hold it in,
and I'll walk around and I'll carry on looking at whatever I'm looking at, and then I've just exhaled my breath.
Yeah, but the same.
Yeah, but
and I'll do that in the pictures, and I'll do that in a restaurant, and I've never once sat in a restaurant, even when I've asked, and some restaurants I've said to them, am I okay to use electronic cigarette? Yep, not a problem. Now, when we was on our honeymoon, we was in somewhere up by the borders of Scotland. We went to this little village, and I said to the man in the pub, am I okay to use an electronic cigarette, mate? And he was like, yeah. And I showed it, and he was going, fucking hell, that's cool. And I was using an SX Dual, and I must have had some sort of sub-ohm tank on it, which is not normally me, to be fair. I normally just only use mouth to lung if I'm out and about. And I set off the fire alarms, and I shut down the whole of the restaurant because the kitchen was linked to the fire alarms, and it just shut the fucking lot off. So I left a tenner on the table for our 2 drinks, and we fucked off. And that was the only time I've ever done it with the blessing of the man in there. And even then, I was thinking I was a proper dickhead, because what else was I expecting to happen? And for the same reason, I mean, I know I've had people say to me, how come your staff can't use mechanical mods before 6 o'clock in the shop? Well, because I've got Deirdre coming in to get a coil this week in a 10ml bottle. And I don't want her to have to walk from the door to the counter like she's fucking wafting a fucking African bunch of flies off her face. I don't want people to walk past our shop as a smoker and ever look in there and say, oh, that's not for me. I can't have my living room full of shit like that. Go upstairs in the vape lounge and you couldn't fucking see your hand in front of your face. But then people were up there were doing that thing because that's what they enjoyed. And I wanted the shop to be somewhere where someone could walk in as a smoker and say, hi, I smoke cigarettes. Can you explain these to me? If our shop's full of vape and that you open the door and there's fucking custard clouds bellowing out the fucking door, there's probably 6, 7, 8 out of 10 people would walk straight past, even if they're on the way in, and go, poor, that ain't for me. I don't want that in my fucking
there's a very big difference to stealth vaping and vaping, creating a video on it and telling people how fun it is, and to do the same.
Yeah,
that was all my point. That was my point.
Yeah, and I absolutely 100% agree with you on the basis that why, like, there used to be this argument, like, it's not illegal. You can vape where you fucking like. It's not illegal to have sex. But if you go and fuck someone in the middle of fucking Iceland, you're going to get nicked for it. It's as simple as that. And then it's about using a little bit of common sense. And if you're in an establishment where the bloke behind the counter is blatantly sub-ohming, and you're sub-ohming, it's not a problem. To walk around Iceland and then have this stance of, yeah, well, it's not illegal. I can smoke in here if I want to. You can't tell me I can't use my vape. You're an absolute prick. I mean, honestly, I don't get it. And then they're the same people that claim to be advocating what we're doing, and they're not. They're the people that make 200 people see this scene in Iceland and say, them fucking idiots that vape all want locking up.
Exactly.
And
that's my problem. It's the influencers that people look up to people and go, actually, do you know what? You're a twat. Why would you do that? You know, the thing at the end of the day is I personally wouldn't put my video, but that's because I don't think it's morally right to walk around Iceland. I don't think you boys would do it either because we don't think it's morally right. You know, at the end of the day, I think if you've got an audience that are willing to laugh at something that you're doing, I think it's taking the piss because you are putting that out in the open for people to turn around and go, they're all a bunch of fucking dicks. And that's my worry, is the fact is that we get judged by that one person.
Yeah, and of course we will. I would rather run into Iceland and get a bottle of Coke and smash it on the floor so it takes off like a rocket across the shop and run back out again. Because I'm not brandishing a whole group of people by doing that. I just become a prick.
That would be quite fun though.
No, but I mean, you obviously see these videos on YouTube, and there's some antics that people get up to in supermarkets that are fucking, I think, are funny. I'd be pissed off if it was my shop, but I still think it's funny to watch. But when you run out, all that'll happen is someone will say that bloke was a fucking prick. When you've got someone walking around Iceland blowing fucking stacked endless clouds all around the shop, they're branding every user a fucking idiot. Yeah. So then when they see anyone using any electronic device, they're like, oh, that's one of them. Like the fucking comment on your page, Rick. Oh, well, that's fucking handy, having all them fucking idiots in the village selling bloody vaping devices. That's what happens, though. People get this sort of mental image of what a vapor is.
How dare they save lives?
Exactly. But they don't consider it saving lives, do they? They just consider it being ignorant and blowing clouds and being absolutely antisocial.
Oh no, Paul! I got a chart in my office. That's another one. That's another one. And then someone's echoing.
Paul, just mute your mic and then unmute it.
You are?
Are you all right now? Yeah, you're all right now.
Hello. Yeah, I've got a life-saving chart in my office, and I just tick them off. tally chart, and that's me. I'm like, yeah, I'm a fucking hero today.
But it's definitely a forgotten thing, that though. Definitely that, you know, we are helping people having a safer alternative, and as Paul said earlier, that 5%, whether it means anything or fuck all, you know what I mean? At the end of the day, 95% safer.
Well, we're just a tool, though, Tom. They're the ones that are actually physically doing it. We're just the tool, the catalyst. Be it, you know, the thing in between that actually passes on that vape device.
And that also definitely, like I've said many, many times, I've had people walk in my shop and say, I don't care how much it costs, I want to give up smoking. And I know I could sell them a £25 device and they'll stop smoking. I've had the bloke dragged into the shop by his missus, who has been successful on a vape for 6 weeks, therefore she's advocating to the world they should all vape. And she's dragged her old man in, kicking and screaming, saying he wants to stop smoking and he doesn't really want to stop smoking. And I always say to him, I would say that 75% of you giving up smoking is your will to want to give up smoking. The other 20% is me giving you this device. And the other 5% is breaking your habit of picking up a cigarette over your vaping device, making sure that your battery's charged, making sure that you've got a spare coil on you in case the coil goes down in the middle of the day, making sure that as you get through the next 3 or 4 weeks and you start to see an accumulation of a saving, that you buy a second device to leave at your office at work. 3 weeks after that, buy a third device and leave one in your car. Never ever be in a position where you haven't got your vape at hand, because you will go and buy a packet of cigarettes to cover you until you get your vape. And when you go back to the vape, it's going to be harder the second time than it is the first time, because you're going to go into it so much more committed on that first journey than you will on the second time. And it's a bit like dieting. And I can say this as someone who's done fucking Slimming World, Weight Watchers, Cambridge Diet, and all them other things. When I've gone the first time, I've lost 5 stone, and then I put it back on. And when I've gone back to lose the weight again, I'm a bit like, I know how to do this. When I'm ready to do it, I'll give it a bash. And actually, I'm not really ready to do it. So I'm never successful. I was exactly the same with the vape. I went on a vape stick and I struggled for 11 months because it just wasn't giving me enough, but I was determined not to smoke cigarettes. I fell off the wagon and it took me 12 months to start vaping again exclusively. Because I always had this thing in the back of my head. I've done it before. I can do it when I'm ready. So I'll get this weekend out of the way. I'll smoke my cigarettes. Monday, I'm going to buy a new kit. I'd forget to charge it because I weren't that fucking invested in stopping smoking again. And then I'd be smoking cigarettes. It took me 12 months after an 11-month stint of exclusively vaping and not having one drag of a cigarette in that time to reprogram my mind back to the place to say, I don't want to smoke cigarettes anymore.
Definitely.
So I say to me, if you're not ready to give up, don't give up. Or if you're not ready to give up, don't go out of here with the mindset that you're not going to touch another cigarette, because the minute you feel like you've failed, you're going to fuck it in the bin. You're going to carry on smoking your cigarettes. So if you're not ready to give up, she's insisting that you've got to buy this device whether you like it or whether you fucking don't. So if you get up in the morning, you want your morning fag, have your morning fag, and then try just using your vape in your car. And then when you get back out the car, have another cigarette and see how you get on. It's amazing how many people say, you know what, actually, I've only had 3 fags in the week.
That's what we start off with. We tell them, you know, if you do have a cigarette or you are tempted to have a cigarette, don't beat yourself up over it. A lot of people will. But to not, and just start from day one again, it's
No, absolutely. But I say it's that will to want to give up that is the biggest factor in them being successful in stopping smoking. And that's the same as me as a fat person on a Tuesday out the blue saying, I'm going to Weight Watchers tonight. I want to do this. And I'll be successful at it because I've made the decision to go there, to commit to it and do. I say when Tash said to me before, let's go to Slimming World, I was a bit like, for what? So then for the first few weeks, I was like, I just weren't invested in doing it because it weren't my idea. I didn't want to do it. She wanted to lose fucking £6 or £7 after having the kid. And I was saying, Bab, I can shit out £7 on a good morning. You don't need to go to fucking Slimming World to do this. But she was like, I want to do it and I'm going to do it and I'm going. It took me 2 weeks to say, you know what, actually, I might as well just get involved in this. But when I went myself, right from the get-go, I'm investing in it, I'm reading the books, I'm doing what I've got to do, I'm eating the right foods, I'm doing more exercise, and it's absolutely the same with the vape shop. You want to give up and you take yourself to the vape shop with 20, 30, 40, 50, 60 quid, 90% chance you'll never touch a cigarette again.
100%. Definitely a personal investment, and I think that is forgotten as well. You know, we've mentioned it on the show before, Paul, about being prepared. And when you're saying about leaving one in car and having spare coils, spare batteries, spare juice, just in case that situation does arouse. And I think that is very much forgotten as well, that the personal journey of quitting smoking is fucking hard. We've all done it. It's hard.
Well, that's what I used to say to him. It's like, for me, even after me being, I'd been vaping for, within 12 months of opening that shop, I'd been exclusively vaping without any cigarette whatsoever for about 2.5 years. And obviously, in the early days, a lot of people would say to me, what's your plan of stopping the vape? And I was like, I ain't got one. I'll never have one, because if I don't vape, I'm going to smoke a cigarette. From a mindset point of view, I convince myself every day that I'm still a smoker, but I've changed brand, because I'm going through the motions of smoking the cigarette. I need the vape the same way I needed the cigarette. If I haven't got my vape, I'm going to use the cigarette. So I just tried to convince myself that I'm still smoking, but I've changed brand of cigarette, and it's worked for me. So just try it and see how you get on. And I'm saying it's mad even now after all this time. There's obviously more people out there vaping, so you get more people coming in freely now than whatever we got 4 years ago, because their pals vaping and their mom started vaping. So they just come into the vape shop and say, I know loads of people that are using these, mate. Can you hook me up? Yeah, absolutely we can, and we'll talk them through it. And we still give that same length of detailed spiel to every single new user, whether it be now or 4 years ago, because I still think it's important that they understand that they've got to change their mindset. They've got to make sure the battery's charged. They've got to make sure they've got spare coils. They've got to make sure they've got liquid. Once you've got a little bit of savings in the bank, invest in a second kit, even if it's only a cheap one that's in your handbag. You never use it unless you go out without your kit. It's in there, you use it, you put it back in there, and just get it's like, it is like a little hobby all of its own. And that's why I like pod systems. It's the closest thing to taking a cigarette out of a box and lighting it up, because you can just, your pod runs out halfway through the day, you fuck it out your window like you would a fag knob, and you stick your new pod on, you crack on smoking again. And I don't think as a retailer, and it's certainly something I don't see in many vape shops, is this will to try and sell pod systems to people who are smokers just to get them on the vaping train. Let them understand that this does work and it can replace your cigarettes. And once you've got the knowledge of charging the pod system, changing the pod system, 4 weeks down the line, I can put you a kit in your hand where you can fill it up yourself with liquid, you can change your coils, and it's much cheaper. But this is the best way to get you off the cigarettes now, because the minute it's empty, you've got to fuck about with nothing. Fuck your pod off, new pod on there, and crack on. And that's what I love about the pod system is it's got to be easy for us as retailers to convert people onto them than it has going. Well, you need to unscrew that. Then you always need to have 1,600 rolls of toilet paper at hand because we're a messy fucking.
I don't know about you, Paul. I never wank when I change coils.
I wouldn't. It depends. If I'm on the toilet changing a coil, then obviously shit happens.
Hand in hand, so to speak.
So that's what I like about the pod system. It's a very easy way of vaping. It's not the cheapest way, and I still think psychologically, the likes of me, maybe the likes of Rick, look like the first thing you said about the pod system was fucking hell, $7.99 for 5 point something mil of liquid. Now in reality, that might last a 20 a day smoker 3 to 5 days. It's still so much cheaper than 12 quid a day on Benson Edges. But I've already done the maths in my head and says, fuck me, that's an expensive way of vaping. What we should be saying is, fuck me, that's a cheap way of smoking. Because once they've got that pod system and they're in the habit of charging their pod, carrying their pod, when they come in and say, I'm ready for something else, at least they're invested in the vape anyway then. So then you can say to them, well, I've got this device and this is how this one works. And this one's got a coil on it, not a pod. You can fill it up with liquid, so you've got a much broader choice of flavors, blah, blah, blah. And actually use the pod systems to our advantage to convert people from smoking to vaping. That's my belief of pod systems.
That's why I like the Taros so much, is because the pods are cheap as fuck. They seem to last a long. Well, this is a week. We can go on a week strong. Even if you get a week out of them, you're going to buy a pack of 5 pods for fucking, I don't know what, 12, 13 quid.
Yeah.
Which is, I mean, 5 coils, 5 Nautilus coils we sell for like a tenner.
It's comparable to a packet of coils.
But the thing is, I mean, this is refillable, which is, again, the biggest plus.
Yeah. My big issue is that I personally don't think pod systems are being marketed towards people quitting. I believe it's marketed towards people who want that big hitter nick and then go back to their sub-homing device. Me personally.
No, I don't disagree, Tom, and I think we had what was the pod system that I had, Tom, where you could slide the pod system into the battery pack.
The Storm.
Nah, it was.
You know about the? You're not about.
It was a French one, I think.
You know about the Von Earl?
Nah, it was similar to the Von Earl, and it was sort of rectangular, and it had just a.
Oh, was it the bow?
The bow, honestly, the bow is one of the best pod systems I've ever used. And the only reason why I stopped using it was because I couldn't get hold of the pods. I'd cracked out to refill them because they weren't supposed to be refillable. So I was getting about 4 to 5 refills on a pod before it was fucked. And I just stopped using it because I couldn't get hold of the pods anymore. But actually, it was quality, but it was fucking damn expensive. It was like, I don't know, it was 30 quid for the pod system at the time. I think I paid 40 quid just for the battery pack, which then meant it had got 3,500 more.
Well, you know the normal pod systems. They're like, if you look at the bottom, it's just a coil wrapped around cotton.
Yeah.
Well, this one here is actually a proper coil.
Yeah.
In there, which I think is why it works so well. I honestly.
Is that on the bottom, Rick? Is that like a big bung?
No, that's just a bung. I guess for the UK market, they put an extra big bung in it. Right. But yeah, it's an actual coil, and you can see the cotton in it. And
so that's actually there. That's the pod off the Sprite. So it takes a full BVC. It holds 2 mil. It's got airflow control on that bottom piece. And I think for me, this is where it should be going. So there is a little bit more control over the vape you get off the pod that you're using.
I love the Breeze 2.
Yeah. This knocks the Breeze 2 out the water, mate, honestly.
But I didn't love it. You know,
See, I love the vape. I'm not joking. I love the vape off this, and I give it to my pal this morning. Actually, I took it to work with me, and he's like, "Are they any good?" And I says, "You know what? Take it and use it." And the reason why I'm not using it exclusively, purely down to the battery. That's the only thing for me personally. But that says, if you're smoking, like I will honestly, I'll have this in my hand from morning till night, and I'm chonging it. Most new vapors don't do that. It's something that they get into the habit of doing because it's there all the time. There is new vapors that vape for the equivalent of a cigarette, and they put it down and they'll have the next vape at 10 o'clock because that's when they've had the next cigarette. It will last you all day. It doesn't last me all day because I'm using it too much. But the vape, if you can get hold of one of these, I think you'll be massively impressed. Certainly with that 1.2 ohm coil, it's fantastic.
I said there was messages going about in the shop chat today about those. So whether we get them in or not, I don't know. I mean,
goes back to what I said about it being used wrongly. You know, as we've said previously about it should have had a bigger battery life. I personally believe that device would work a lot better with somebody who would use for instance, a mech or a regulated all the time, and then who wants a big hit. That 650 battery, to me personally, isn't going to last anybody, even a new vapor.
But to be fair, obviously I've got the 1.2 ohm coil in there. If you put the 1.8 ohm coil in there, in theory, you should get another 25% battery life out of it because it's got 25% less pull on the battery. So then you might be up to 8 hours use, and that might be enough for some people. But again, it depends how much the thing about this pod system for me is it's not so much it's a pod system because it's a pod. It's actually an integral tank because it's got that changeable coil, because it's got airflow control. It just works, and it vapes. The flavour off it's good as well, quite intense flavour. It just vapes really, really well. I was just pissed off that the battery was so shit on it.
Well, I'm bringing this weekend anyway, so.
Well, let's get on to this weekend then. I was going to mention something else.
Do you sell them, Rick?
Yeah.
Are you at the shop between now and the weekend?
I can be. Yeah, I am. Tomorrow I'm popping to the shop. I'm going down tomorrow to Shrewsbury.
Bring me one of them and a packet of pods, and I'll weigh you in over the weekend.
We're waiting for the pods to come in.
Oh, you're one of them retailers.
You get two of them anyway. You get two anyway.
Yeah, bring me
You're one of them. You buy the suit. Right. You got to wait 6 weeks for coils.
No. Bring me one down, and I'll buy it off you and sell it.
Purely to the point that I'm on holiday this week, and I've left someone else to do the ordering, and it wasn't thought about at the time. So,
no, I mean, if you bring it down, I'll buy it and see how I'll get on.
Right, yeah, they're 50 quid.
Yeah, so.
So this weekend, then, a lot of people have noticed. Well, I'm going to mention this off the bat straight away. A lot of people have noticed saying they're not going to Vape Fest. I've seen a lot of people saying they're going. I've seen a lot of other people saying they're not going. Basically, people are giving the excuse if it's too far and whatnot, which is a total load of bullshit. So I just want to call everyone out that said it's too far or whatever is bullshit because it's in the middle of the fucking country. Fuck yourself. The thing is for me is I want to get onto this show and I want to go through Paul's experience and I want to go through Rick's experience. Paul, if you want to start off sort of, what's your thoughts on Vape Fest? What's your good points about it? Have you got any negatives about it? I know it's your favourite show, but would you want to give us sort of the rundown of what you think of Vape Fest?
If I'm going to try and look at this from both points of view. From my point of view as being Paul Harrison and knowing lots of people that are there, and from someone who goes there as a vapor and don't necessarily know people that are there, I will say that I think, and I don't want this to sound pretentious on my behalf, but the likes of me and you being there will drag a different clientele to Vape Fest that would go 3 years ago. And one of my issues with Vape Fest 3 years ago was whether we liked it or whether we didn't. It was started by them high-end boys. They attracted that high-end audience. And when people are walking around with stretchers and snapbacks and hoodies, there was some frowned uponness, I think, personally. And I can say that as someone who used to walk around there as just me, who nobody really knew 4 years ago, 5 years ago. I think the last few years, I think Vape Fest needs to change their approach for that whole show. They need to understand that not only vapors aren't only using stabilized wood squonkers. and that's where we fit in perfectly. It's where even Dale, because of Dale being Dale and Stu working for Dale, they will attract a different level of people. For me, it's about trying to understand that our industry has diversified hugely over the last 2 years, and there's different people that will go there just to meet up. Now, I love Vape Fest because I know most of the people there, and if I bump into Rick and I speak to him for half an hour, it's not the end of the world. Whereas at Expo, I haven't got that half an hour to spare because it's just fucking mental. So I love the fact that it's a nice, relaxed weekend. There's people from various walks of the industry, from high end right the way down to.
So, did anybody hear that?
What?
No.
Good. Okay. The miss has just fired. She's just come back in the house, and I'm telling you, it was loud. I'm going to watch his back to see if it's on there. Sorry, Paul. Sorry.
That's. I mean, yeah. I think when you've got the likes of when you've got Expo, which is for me quite hardcore vaping in the main throughout the whole of the size of the event. You've got some people that would go to Vape Fest and then they'll be posting on social media saying it was fucking dead, it was shit. For me personally, the fact that I can go there this weekend with my wife and with my kids, and the girls are dead excited about Vape Fest, because normally we're saying to them, we ain't going to see you this weekend, we're going to Expo. By the time we get back, you're in bed. By the time we go in the morning, you ain't even woke up. We're doing that for the week before. We're down the shop sorting out stock. You know yourself, Tom, we were there till fucking 11 o'clock on the Thursday setting up, and we were there back at 7 o'clock on Friday morning to finish off. With Vape Fest, if the stand isn't quite set up by Saturday morning, who gives a fuck?
Yeah,
and get there at 11 o'clock with the kids and it's nice and sunny. We've got the karaoke machine. We're ready to go, mate. We're going to rock the weekend. They're bringing the karaoke machine. We're going to have karaoke in the fucking endless tent. But they're dead excited about it. And I like the fact that they can come and get involved. I would go to Vape Fest if the same people were going and it was fuck all to do with vaping. Yeah. So that's my sort of take on Vape Fest. Is it's a great gathering of like-minded people that you can have the joke with, you can have the crack with. Expo is different. So anyone that's coming to Fest, if you're coming with the mindset of a Vape Expo, it's not that. That's not what it is. And actually, I seen some big names last year saying it's fucking dead out, it's fucking shit, it's this, it's that, it's the other. And this year they've got a different opinion of it because they're going to be there. Now, my opinion of Vape Fest has always been, and Tom knows this, we're lucky if we break even on a Vape Fest weekend. But I said to Tom, if it cost me £1,000 or £2,000 to be there, and we've done it, and we've gone, and we've vended, and we've met the people, I'm happy to spend that money. To me, it's part and parcel of our yearly outgoings to do Vape Fest. It's definitely never us sat round a table saying, right, how are we going to clean up at Vape Fest? Because the chance of it happening is slim to none.
It's going to cost you $2,000 off the bat anyway, because that's Tom's appearance fee.
No, that's my dinner fee.
But I mean, I do think that if Vape Fest weren't so stuck in their ways about the type of people they invite to the show, there's different people that would go. And for me, there's an opportunity, because my concern is that if this is a washout this year, just like the collective, how often does the collective go ahead and be considered, in my opinion, a failure before any vendor just says, look, I'm not going? It might well just be called a gathering fest on that basis, and the same people still go because they can still get pissed with the same people and camp with the same people and enjoy it and just use it as an excuse to gather. I just feel like I've seen it demise over a few years. But this is looking at it from a consumer's point of view. I enjoyed Vape Fest last year more than I've ever enjoyed a Vape Fest before, and yet it was probably one of the quietest Vape Fests ever. I still enjoyed it more than the one the year before because we were there, we were in the thick of it. I was walking around seeing people were coming and seeing me. That's what I enjoy about this weekend. So that's my thoughts on Vape Fest, Thomas.
Thank you, sir. And what about yourself, Rick? What are you thinking? You obviously love going to shows and you end up at the fucking bar the majority of the weekend. But yeah,
I don't know what you're on about. The missus is sat over there. I never go to the bar. Echo again. That's it. It's gone. Good. Yeah. No, I never go to the bar. I never. Not even a single alcoholic beverage passes my lips, and I never go with any money, and I never buy anything new.
Hi, Jenna.
She actually can't hear you because I got these funny things on, Tom. Do you know what these are? But no, I love it. I love it. It is more of a gathering. It is more of a gathering. It is more about meeting your friends and stuff like that. But then you have got some top class vendors, but you get to know the vendors on more of a personal level than a business level, which is what you were saying, Paul. You can afford to sort of have a chat for a quarter of an hour, half an hour, and stuff like that. But I just love it because the majority of my friends are now in the vaping industry. And the amount of times, especially now living in Scotland, the amount of times we actually meet up is twice, 3 times a year. So it's actually really nice just to sort of meet up, have a gathering, have a few beers. You can bugger off to town in the evening if you want, or you can stay on the campsite and have an equally as good a time on the campsite, albeit a lot cheaper.
Yep.
So I think
personally, that Vape Fest is how we say this is what we want the community to be like on Facebook. And we said this is what we want. I think that for me, that's what the community should be when it's Vape Fest, because it's very much everybody getting involved, everybody having a laugh, having a chat, like-minded people, as we've said. And this is it's a community event, isn't it? People don't go because it's boom, 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 or fucking Drake on every corner you fucking walk past and getting your ears rocked out.
Fucking Drake on our corner, mate. Let me tell you.
For me, that's what it's about. And it's not necessarily just about, the day itself. It's also about fucking Alan and Steve on an evening when you can hear them shouting at fucking tents.
That's you, though. That's you, unfortunately.
Me and you started that a couple of years back, so we'll have that.
But the thing I do get what you're saying, Paul. It is, 3 years ago, you could hardly find a pitch on the field, the camping fields. Yeah. But from a personal level, I couldn't care if 100 people turned up or 2,000 people turned up, because I know the majority of my friends are going to be there. But however, that's completely different from your point of view, which is obviously.
No, that's what I was saying. Look, I was just about to say to you, if you take yourself out of the fact that you're going there to meet friends, to walk around that event as a vapor that's never been there before, how do Vape Fest make it a little bit more of something that it's not? Because that was my point about saying ultimately carried on with the AD Moyes. Does it just become the gathering event of the year for modders and friends alike to get on a field and camp and get pissed and not even vend?
But that was originally its intentions, wasn't it? It was a more higher end, exclusive sort of event, wasn't it? Originally,
yeah.
I think you have to go with the time, really. Personally, you know what I mean. Look, if you compete, and obviously Vape Fest is not competing with Expo, but when you've got 25,000 people walking through the fucking door at Expo over a weekend, and you look at Vape Fest and it's got 3,500, it's sort of, where the fuck are the rest of the people, and what's not bringing them to Vape Fest?
Yeah, well, you're not going to get like to Smock there or anything like that. That's pretty much a guaranteed. But you never have 25,000 people at Expo. That's probably one of the most inflated figures I've heard.
No, over the weekend, there's thousands and thousands of people going.
Thousands upon thousands, but nowhere near 25. That's a silly little thing. We used to go to pharmacy shows at the company I used to work for, and they would do their figures on how many times they scanned you. So if you went out for lunch and come back in, they scan you again. That's another figure. But I know they don't really scan you at Expo, do they? But that's what they used to base their figures on at pharmacy shows, is how many times they scanned you in and out, so they could pretty much double however many people turned up. It's crazy. I just think it's an all round fucking brilliant event. And I like spending time talking to people, even people that you don't know. But however, like you said, for a new person that's never experienced it before and doesn't potentially know anybody, I can see how you'd be like, you know?
Yeah. But that's my concern, is that there's people that would go there. I know that there's people that went to last year's events just because I was there. I don't mean that in a big, just because Endless was there, because we pushed it to a different demographic of people to say we're going to this event. There's people that come. They're probably the people that would go back on Facebook and say, "Fucking hell, shit that was."
But you need to get to the point. I mean, basically, vendors are driven by footfall, right? But in terms of business,
Yep.
Forget the environment and the friendliness and how long you speak to people. Vendors are driven by footfall, and the only way to get that footfall is by advertising. I still think there's probably only less than 1% of vapors know about VapeFest.
Yeah.
And to be honest, 90% of vapors wouldn't even be interested because they're just there to get off cigarettes. So they've got their mouth to lung device and stuff like that. So you're left with 9%. And these are just figures that I'm making up.
Yeah. No, I know what you mean, but I mean, if you look at the vaping community online, for argument's sake, I would estimate that to be somewhere around about 30,000 people spread over many hundreds of groups.
Yeah.
So if Tom's saying 3,500 through the doors, then we've probably captured 10% of the online audience. That's not maybe a bad conversion rate, but I mean, for me, like I said, as a vendor, I've never once said to Tom, "Listen, mate, if we don't hit this year, I ain't doing Fest again." Actually, for me, I go to this one because I enjoy it just as you do, for the same reasons you do. I'm thinking more about how does it become that same? How do people coming into the people who have come in on a smock alien? How do they come to that event and enjoy the event enough to want to say, "Oh, fucking mint, Vape Fest on again next month, next year," and look forward to it? Like, I know it's ultimately about them meeting a group of like-minded people and maybe arranging to meet up with them and do whatever they're doing. Maybe Fest will never ever be that. I don't know.
You have had in the past, and you still got now, some people that do the general hardware. You know, like TYV do a little bit of hardware. I've never seen them go all out on hardware, but then also you got Evolution, who aren't attending this year.
Yeah, which is were like, they're taking fucking everything with us, mate. We're going to clean up this year.
Well, there you go. That's the tent you need to be at. If you got a smock alien, go to Endless Tent, and they'll sell you something decent.
Do we think as a collective that vapors expect too much because of Expo?
It's definitely brought around a different frame of mind. I mean, the first jam, you remember the first fucking jam? That was just when we started Vape Talk, wasn't it? And and the free shit was. You
could walk around without being handed a fucking bag from someone.
No, and obviously
that's when the massive influx was of the Americans coming over, and
that's what I was just going to say. When I went to the first Expo, and as a retailer that had a shop 6 miles from the NEC, could not get my head around how much free shit had been handed out to vapors. Thousands and thousands and thousands and thousands and thousands and thousands of pounds worth of stuff I could have stocked a second shop with.
I mean, I still see posts after Expo saying, "Look at my haul, look at my haul." And, you know, one company was giving away boxes of juice to people, like a massive box like that. Just it's like.
But what I can say, Rick, honestly, right, in May for us, I don't know about how Tom feels. We sort of had less free shit hunters coming to us than we'd ever had before. And whether that's because more people go public on Facebook now saying fuck you and your free shit. Maybe people are a bit less reluctant to come to my stand personally and ask me for anything because I know I'm going to tell them to fuck off. And they may be cherry picking their way around the expo looking for the free shit that's available. But I think vendors in the main are less, or they're just not. They're more reluctant not to fucking hand out free stuff.
I don't know. Basically, all the American stands throwing out all their free shit. You got Paul Harrison today going, "Fuck off, mate."
Paul, it's my birthday. Can I get a free mod? It's my birthday.
Yeah, someone come up to me. It's my birthday tomorrow, mate. And I says, "Well, happy birthday for tomorrow."
Was this on a Sunday?
So listen, this is the best bit about it, right? Somebody went up and said that to someone on the stand, and then someone went, "Go speak to Paul." And Paul was like, "Listen, mate, what the fuck do you want me to do?"
No, that's what he says. It's my birthday. I wondered if I could have a snapback. And I says, yeah, give me £20 and I'll give you a fucking snapback.
You should have sung him "Happy Birthday" just right in his face, that far away, shout it in his face. So quickly moved away.
I mean, genuinely, right, I'm not adverse to giving stuff away. I've given away thousands and thousands of pounds worth of stuff over the years. But when someone walks over, there you go. When someone walks over and says, "All right, mate, what have you got free on here?" Just advice, mate. That's the only thing that's free is advice. My first bit of advice is never come over and ask me for free shit. Now, fuck up. That's it. That's conversation's done.
Yeah, if you want free shit from Endless, become a has-been, and then Paul feel sorry for you and send you fucking Emmys and shit like that.
No, I sent you that because I valued your opinion, mate.
But then that mindset that we get at Expos isn't there at Vape Fest. So is that the reason why there isn't that big footfall? Because people have like, well, actually, it's not going to be about that.
To be honest, I think people are over the free shit.
I don't, Rick. I really fucking don't.
Do, but you got to think about it. The majority of vapors are in an age category, like the people that create the hype and stuff, 30 downwards, right? And the majority of those spend their life inside playing video games. So they might not be outdoorsy people. You know what I mean? They might not like being in a field. I don't know.
You can come for a day though. You can make an effort to come for the day. You don't have to camp. You can come for the fucking day.
I've recorded that. I'll put that up as the advert for Vape Fest.
Yeah, them exact words.
You can come for the day, like you don't have to make the effort to come for the day.
You can just come for the day. You don't have to fucking camp.
Got any free shit?
Do an all weekend of shit. You can just come for the day. That's Tom's going to create the new fucking tagline for next year's Vape Fest. Don't comfort all weekend, just comfort day.
Comfort day.
No, that's the, you know what I mean. I just think this event itself is fucking great for people to actually come off Facebook and meet people that they've not ever met in real life and can actually have a relaxing time. Because, as Paul said previously, Expo is not fucking relaxing. It's constant all the time. So if people actually want to meet up with people they've spoke to online and got advice off or faces that they actually appreciate, then for me, this is a perfect event.
No, and I agree, Tom. And actually, that's why I drove from my house to fucking Doncaster the first year for Collective, because actually, I love the fact that someone up north had said, let's put something on for this end of the country. And actually, as a vendor who's been supported tirelessly for fucking nearly 6 years, and I've had people travel from one end of the country to our shop to come to our vape meets, I felt that me and Tash should make the effort to drive to Doncaster. And actually, to walk around there, I can honestly say my biggest disappointment was the fact that the vapors hadn't supported that event. Now, again, does it come down to the way it's advertised? I don't know. And then when I seen the state of it again this year, I mean, we couldn't get there this year to even go because I still would have went and supported the thing, even if it was only for a couple of hours. I couldn't physically get there this time. But I just think, how does the Vape Collective even try and sell that event to vendors next year?
I was at Collective, and I had to go home after the first day. On the first day, actually, on the Saturday, because I got bit by a bug. I had fucking hay fever the first time ever in my life. My lips were chapped, so I kept fucking biting my mouth off. And I had to go home. I'd had enough. But to be honest, the organisation was there. It was more the advertising, I think, more the promotion. I mean, I would never like to try and get an event off the ground like that, to be honest. But it's hard because you've already got one. You've already got an outside event. You know what I mean? You've already got the premium event. The first one's always the best, right?
Yeah, but I mean, me and Matt from VG spoke last year about whether could we pull off something that's somewhere between Expo and Fest. Have we got enough of a reach to be able to get it out to enough people to attract vendors that want indoor facility and the ruffians that want the outdoor facility? And can we make it completely kid friendly? And can we have bouncy castles? And can we have some entertainment? And can we make it more about the community than actually about? I mean, Expo out and out is about trying to make as much money as we can during that weekend and thereafter with wholesale. And we have to do that because it's so fucking expensive to vend at Expo.
But the main thing is, right, we always seem to forget that Collective's trying to start out where Vape Fest is now.
Yeah.
Whereas Vape Fest started out in a pub.
Yeah.
And they built over the years.
Look at the size of the industry and the pull and the people that's actually in the industry, and then to turn around and go, well, there were about 100 people that turned up. It's sort of like, you know, to put on an event, I get that there's a lot of work, a lot of organisation to go behind that, but where the fuck was everybody?
I was there.
There weren't even that many vendors there. There weren't even that many vendors there. You know, the vendors weren't there. You know, where's the pull? There's got to be that attraction for the vendors to be there in the first place.
Did you go, Tom?
No.
That's my point.
Yeah, Tom, you were just across the road as well.
Yeah, but I didn't go because I personally said it would be a washout, and I'm openly handed put that out.
Hang on. If everybody said that,
that's my point. Is that if I genuinely couldn't get there this year, so I didn't go. If we could have got there, I would have been there just to actually say hello to anyone that I knew. I knew there was people vending there that I knew. I knew the likes of Rick would be there. So again, even if we get a 20-minute catch up and a laugh and a joke and a hug and a goodbye, for me, it's worth the 2-hour drive. But when we've already considered ourselves a waste of time, how the fuck do you convince the Vapor to bother going next year?
Tom's just demonstrated where everybody was.
I'm being honest about my opinion, and
I'm not slagging you for it, Tom. What I'm saying is,
I am, Tom. You're a fucking dick.
No, I mean, at the end of the day, there's people that go, fuck it, I'm not going, and there's going to be more of that next year because it's like second year running. It was probably worse this year number wise than it was the year before. Or the year before.
It was. I was there last year.
How the fuck do you take that to any sort of level next year that gives it enough legs to get momentum for the year after and the year after? Because there's only so many years you can see a downturn before everyone says, I'm not even dragging my shit up there because it's literally not worth my time.
That's what I mean. So there's got to be some sort of pull to it, you know. What could they do to draw people in? There's got to be some sort of, whether it's marketing, whether it's putting something on, maybe a gig or something like that, you know, having live music there. There's got to be some sort of pull for me to turn around. And a lot of people turn around and go, well, it will wash out last year. I'm not fucking going. You know, there's got to be that draw to it. And for me personally, the draw for Fest is the community. There isn't that draw with Collective because there's nobody there.
Yeah, but there's nobody there because they've done the same as you and said, nah.
But there's no pull.
But if everybody
if fucking full breakfast next morning, I'd have probably pulled up. You know what I mean?
Oh fuck me, you did that for a chicken nugget. But if if everybody done the same as you, Tom, then that's where everybody was.
Yep.
And I get that, 100%. But the event itself has to have that physical pull for people to come into it.
Everybody said, "Oh, let's give it a bash." It would have been a completely different event.
Yeah. No, I agree, Rick. And I mean, from obviously you've got the vendors. I mean, we could not do Collective this year whether we wanted to or not. But if I'm being honest, the first thing I've done when they asked me to go there, and to be honest, hounded me to go there, if I'm being perfectly honest, was I look at the vendors list. Now, maybe I shouldn't even do that. I should either go because I want to go or I don't go because I don't want to go. But I look at the vendors list and go, fuck, who the fuck's there that's going to pull any real numbers? And then because I'd imagine that's also the take of a lot of other vendors going, well, fuck me. Paul ain't going to be there. Dale ain't going to be there. This ain't going to be there. That ain't going to be there. Actually, I'm going to be the only name, or there's no people there that's really going to support.
It is a catch-22, and it'll always be a catch-22. The vendors will only go if there's footfall, and the people will only go if there's vendors. So you're stuck between a rock and a hard place. There's nowhere to go.
Then there's a blame on both ends. There must be a blame on both ends.
Yeah, there is completely, but there's nowhere you can go from that. The vendors don't want to go there. People won't turn up. People don't want to turn up. The vendors aren't going to go there. So you're in a catch-22. There's between a rock and a hard place. There's nowhere to go.
Back to marketing and stuff, and people getting it out there, and the vendors doing it. For me personally, it's not 100% down to the vendors to promote the event. With Vape Fest to say, can we have 3 posts on social media, say you're attending and you're going to Vape Fest? I appreciate that 100%. And then Vape Fest also dig in and do their own. We're going to be here. This is what's happening. For me personally, if there's not that sort of teamwork together with the vendors and the actual organisers, then why are we putting 100% on ourselves to say, well, we're going to this event, but you're not doing fuck all about it, and it's your event? Well, there's working together between vendors and the actual people owning the event, and it doesn't seem to be that.
I did say to the Vape Fest committee, I said you should just release an A4 poster that everybody can print off in their shops, and they'll put it up in their shops. You know, the people that want to put it up in their shops, they will. How many people do you have walking in the door a day? How many people would you have looking at that poster a day? You know what I mean? It just sort of triggers in the mind. If you have those posters, as soon as you know the dates, get the posters made up. Ask if shops will put them up. We'll definitely put them up in ours, you know. And if enough people want to go, you know, then maybe a case of us putting on a minibus or something like that, you know.
No, like I agree with you, Ricky. So there's people. I mean, we haven't got a poster up in our shop, which actually is fucking mad, because we should do, because we have a decent footfall through both the shops. But at least if it's there, there's gonna be Bob and Mary who come in and say, "Oh, what's that?" Well, it's just a vaping event. There's going to be young kids who go, "Oh, what? Yeah, I'm coming to that. I can come. I drive. I'm going to do." The fact is, we've shared it as heavily as we can on all of our social media platforms, which is still a decent amount of numbers. But actually, should we be trying to attract the people that come into the shop that we only see once a week for their liquid and coils? And absolutely, we should be. But I haven't made a poster up. I should have done.
Well, no, I personally feel that should be down to the Vape Fest committee or their designer or whatever, just to create a poster, a marketing pack, you know, social media posters as well as normal posters and stuff like that, and just say, right, can you bung this up in your shop? I mean, probably 8 out of 10, 7 out of 10 shops are going to say, yeah, no problem, and they'll put them up. I mean, we got pictures for fucking local circuses, for fuck's sake, in our shop, you know.
And that's the same as us. We'll always. I only put them up because they always give me free tickets.
Free tickets. Yeah.
Anyone else comes, I'm like, what do I get out of this? Nothing. We'll get the fucking down my window and get out, you brat. Unless you vape, and then I'll give you a 3% discount.
I just personally think it needs to be a team effort, and if the people that have organised the event don't do any marketing for it and leave it to the vendors, well, the vendors might as well put the fucking event on themselves. That's my argument. You know, as Paul said, we thought he could put his head together and see if they could do an event. Well, that's basically what we're doing anyway, because we're promoting for an event that's not our event. Yes, it's obviously good for us to promote it because we're going to be there. I get that 100%, and that's the way it should be. But for me personally, it needs to be a team thing. You know, we're promoting your event. You need to promote your event as much as we are as vendors. We want the footfall there, so we're promoting it so we get people there. We can have a laugh with people. We can meet new people and whatnot. But if you're not doing the same as we are to promote people to get there, well, we're basically creating our own footfall.
Yeah, I mean, but at the end of the day, that is partly your responsibility anyway to create.
100%, and that's what I mean. We'll always do it, and I'm happy to do it, and we're always happy to do it, and I enjoy doing the promotion sides of where we're going to be at the events and getting people involved and getting them hyped for the event. But what I'm saying is, as a collective needs to be together. You know, we all need to be promoting as well. As you say, even people that go and whack it in your shops, tell people about the event. You know what I mean? This is an event that's going on. If we're not all working together, it's literally like you're pulling in one direction when you all need to be pulling the same way.
Which is your cock.
That's just my opinion. You know, I think the event is awesome. I love Vape Fest. You know, I went to the first collective. I think, it always makes me think. I go back to Expo and I think, just Expo, just itself is like self-marketing. It just doesn't need to. Does it really need to market?
Expo, yeah, of course. You always need marketing. That's why I have marketing budgets. You definitely need to push. You need to push your event. You can't sit back and think everything's going to be okay.
Yeah, no, I appreciate that. It's just,
I mean, even down to the fact that every single vendor that's at Fest has to contribute something to the raffle. Now, we've been told we have to get this in by whenever we've got to get it in for. In my opinion, we should have had to have got that in 8-10 weeks ago. And there should be a big old fucking poster that says, this is a raffle that's there, this is what's available, this is what you could win, this is what's been contributed, because there will then be people that come just for that, possibly. But actually try and say that we've got this event going on. Like you said, Rick, maybe a whole marketing pack of digital marketing packs that we can put out there. So we're not, I mean, Tom's done a few posters for us personally to say that we're going to be there as Endless Mods. I've shared something that I've seen Rianne share that had all the different logos on. But to be honest, it was quite poor. But actually, if they spent a few £100 putting together a digital marketing pack that gave us some posters to put out on social media that started from this is an event and then a little bit more about the event and actually grow the image of what this event is over the last 12 weeks. There's people that would start to say, you know what, I'm going to go there. It looks quite good. And like you say, Rick, if we went this year from 3,500 people to 7,000 people, the vibe at that place would be so much more that next year you could expect 7,000 to 10,000.
Yeah.
Because it would self-hype itself, really, where people will be talking about it on Monday next week, saying, fucking wicked weekend. Not, well, I went to fucking Fest, man. It was a bit lame. And that's because of there's people that go there as a brand newbie expecting an expo in the field, and that's not what it is.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. Well, it's 10:15.
Hang on a minute. I want to introduce a new segment which Tom can obviously carry over. Obviously being, you know, the main brains on Vape Talk UK and being the most intelligent, funny person on Vape Talk UK. The people's person, I like to say. No one else did, but I did. And Tom was the laugh. I was the intelligence. I wanted to introduce a new section called Paul Harrison's Quotes of the Week. Now, this is taken from Facebook, and I'm just going to pick a random one because I've gone down. There's a few boxing ones on there. Mind you, to be honest, I watched a fair bit of that. Fucking everybody was thrown in that night, that whole night.
Excellent night of boxing.
I didn't actually watch the main event because the illegal stream I was watching it on died. But and we had people over. My parents were down, so we were having just a game tonight anyway. But the most interesting one is, and I've got an answer for you on this one, Paul, just in case you want it, there was no clarification. Is it still chatting shit if the shit you chatted is the truth? And the answer is no. No.
I am going to introduce that as a new section now because that is definitely a new fucking section. So on that note, Rick's out. We're gonna get off. If you're going to Vape Fest, we'll see you at the weekend. If you're not, do rethink it and see if you can even come down for the day and just pop down and see what you think.
It's a free event, children friendly. Come down, and even if you come down for an hour or two, it's got to be worth it. And it's supposed to be nice the weekend as well, so it's nice weather outside. Enjoy the day, enjoy the weekend. Who knows, you might even come down Saturday and decide to come back on Sunday.
Yeah. So thank you ever so much, Paul, for joining us this week as well. And Rick, thank you for joining us. You're an absolute fucking funny fucker. We'll see you at the weekend. Thank you ever so much, guys. Thanks for tuning in. Thank you for liking and subscribing and sharing. I've seen a lot of you sharing this evening, this afternoon, this morning. So thank you so much. We'll see you at the weekend. If not, we'll see you next week, Wednesday. Have a good one. Love yous.
Peace.